Okay, so our notes today we're going to be learning about observational studies and experimental design. Okay, so let me kind of like bridge this from what we've been doing into what we're now going into. What we have been doing is talking about proper ways to collect a sample, because then you use this sample to infer something about the population, like the proportion of the soil in the thing that's toxic or whatever. Sometimes you take those samples and you then have them go through an observational study or an experiment, because then you're going to be comparing something that's happening and see what the effect of that is. For example, is there a difference in the average muscle gain of an athlete using protein source A as opposed to protein source B? Okay, so there could be a lot of other issues we need to control in there. Like, what could affect this, figuring this out other than just the protein? What else? The type of person. What else? The workout, schedule, routine, whatever. Okay, so we're going to talk about different, yes, lots of good things are happening here. Okay, so we're going to talk about some different things related to that. So, on the front of your paper that you have, that gives you observational studies and experiments. So you have all of these little bulleted things there, but we're going to kind of elaborate. And I'm going to talk to you today about the specific differences between what is classified as an experiment and what is classified as an observational study. First of all, you need to know that people say study all the time, and it means either one of these. I heard this morning a new study has just come out that a lawsuit for the NFL is based upon. No, that's not true. They found records for and they're suing the NFL because of a study that they knew about, yada, yada, yada. Okay? They called it, quote, unquote, a study, and in this case it was an observational study, but when the general public uses this word study, it is a generic word for either an observational study or an experiment. So you need to know the difference between these two, and so here it is. Let's actually first talk about experiment. The benefit of an experiment is that you can say that you have determined something causes something else. The reason that you can say that is because in the design of an experiment, you control the subjects so that they are all alike, or they are randomized so everything's distributed. You then give one group the treatment and one group does not have the treatment. So the only difference between the two groups is what? A treatment. And then you follow them. And if at the end there's a significant difference, then you have found that the only way there's a significant difference is because you gave them a treatment. So, by controlling it, randomizing what you can, and then repeating this over and over, like if I put 50 and I take 100 and I randomly put 50 here and randomly put 50 there, okay, then 50 people are taking the blood pressure medicine or whatever. I'm repeating it. Okay. So that's kind of the general idea of an experiment. So the good thing is that with an experiment, you can say causes. A classic example is, I'm going to take 100 male subjects from a clinic that have been diagnosed with high blood pressure. I'm going to randomly choose 50 of them to go in group A, 50 of them to go in group B. I'm going to give the subjects in group A a blood pressure pill every day. And at the end of 3 months' time, I'm going to compare their average blood pressure in group A and see if there's a significant difference. I'll probably compare before and after and all that kind of stuff, okay? But the only thing different is the blood pressure medicine. So therefore I can say the blood pressure medicine is causing whatever effect there is. Okay. Observational study. observational study only has the power to give you a general idea about a relationship between two things. I could say there is a link between concussions that you're experiencing in football or whatever and brain damage, or maybe like Alzheimer's or whatever. Okay? So all I can say is that there is a link. I cannot say the concussions cause brain damage. So you cannot say cause. And here's why. There's too many other things. I guess I could say cause, but you know what I'd have to do? I'd have to design an experiment. I'd have to take 100 random football players, 50 go in one group, 50 go in the other. This group A, you go play football but don't get a concussion, and then group B, you play football, and just to ensure that you get a concussion, because I need you to all have a concussion, then here's a sledgehammer over the head. So now you all have a treatment, and you have, the only difference between you is the concussion versus non-concussion, okay? Alright, so I can't do that, right? Therefore, you cannot make an experiment. You only can study results of either what have already happened. If you are studying results of what have already happened, like past medical records is retrospective. That is looking back. Retrospective. Okay? But let's say I identify 100 women that are 2 months pregnant or less, and then I'm going to have them keep track of their alcohol usage throughout their pregnancy so that I can determine if fetal alcohol syndrome is related to alcohol use. But anyway, then looking forward is called prospective. So going and looking forward, identifying these subjects first and then following them for however long. Sometimes years. Sometimes people identify kindergartners, then they identify their economic situation. They follow them for their whole entire school career and then like see if there's trends in those two relationships. Okay? All right. Now, one of the problems with looking back, and sometimes I guess going forward, is that you are relying on anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence is people remembering people telling you what they remembered. Okay, what do you have to say about the potential issue with that? Okay? Do they remember everything perfectly? Okay? Hey, you know the study that we did on the second day of school? The key to that was anecdotal evidence from the parents of those 12 children that said that their children had regular cognitive development and then later experienced delayed cognitive development. So that was parental anecdotal evidence. Okay? Furthermore, that was done as a retrospective, looking back at the 12 children, retrospective study. So, with that being an observational study, could they say in that vaccine and autism report that courts quietly confirmed that MMR vaccine causes autism? No. So it was just all wrong. The journalist could not say this. Now, could she say that there's a relationship between it? Yes, if it was found to be supported. Only blue holes in that too. Okay? But anyway, so the key to starting you into this chapter 13 is to know, and it's important to understand that there are two items. You have to differentiate between what an observational study is and what you can conclude from that. What an experiment is and what you can conclude from that. Okay? Now, the final thing that I'm going to do, a little activity with you before we get going, is mention to you that the two articles you're going to read is this one has the Yahoo News and then the Science Daily. So it's this page that has two journals. I don't think I have it on here. But anyway, so one of the journals says, study links 45,000 U.S. deaths to lack of insurance. Okay? I don't know. Read it. Say, why don't you blow holes through this thing about all the problems you see with this, knowing that a study can cannot say causes. Now it does say links. So, but anyway, look at the back. The back science journal says patients with osteoarthritis of the knee who underwent placebo arthroscopic surgery. Do you know what that is? They had surgery. They went under anesthesia. They went into the surgery room. They had holes put into their knee, and then they just were stitched back up and then left. Why would that even have been considered as something needed to be done for an experiment? Why? Okay, you have to have a control group. Good, because guess what? Just by you having the surgery, you know, your pain is subjective. It's how you are thinking about your pain. And if you think you've gone through the surgery and they've cleaned up your cartilage inside or whatever it is going on in there, then you might think after you've healed, of course, that, man, I'm walking much better. This is so much better. Yeah, thanks people, that surgery worked. So they took some people and actually cleaned up their cartilage or whatever it was and went through the surgery. And they had some that they poked holes in them and made it look like they had the surgery, and they did not really. And then they compared the results of those two groups. So they had a placebo surgery. Now I guarantee you that they did all the correct ethical things, like they got consent. They didn't like try to pull a fast one over on people that didn't know that that was a possibility. They would say, there's a possibility you're going to get placebo surgery. Now, if in the event that we find that it does actually work, we'll go back and give you the real surgery for free, or this is all free to begin with, whatever. Okay, so there's those kinds of things going on. But anyway, so I want you to read these two articles from the standpoint of, is this an observational study or is this an experiment? Are the conclusions that they are stating in the article conclusions that they have the right to be making? So I like when I did mine, I kind of underlined and highlighted things that I thought were bogus or that they could not do, or, you know, I appreciated things that were listed as maybe factual or whatever, okay? So that's what I want you to do tonight, is to go through those two little things there. I have one last little thing that I'm going to do, but you guys can pack up because this will take right to the bell. We're going to discuss McClellan's Marvelous Magical Mints.
Oh, alliteration.
Yes. Because, you know, I'm a teacher and I live on a teacher's salary, so I have to find a way to supplement my income, right? So I have been teaching, man, I think it's like 17 or 18 years, whatever. I don't know. Okay, so 17 years. What? I live 27. 27? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here we go. I have in my hand McClellan's Marvelous Magical Mint. I guess I should know my product before I try to sell it. Okay? I have been perfecting this recipe for 17 years, so I know it works. When I give you this, it is potent, and it'll work for this whole 6 weeks. And it will make you perform better on your test that you're about to have in here. So I'm going to go around here and quote-unquote randomly give half of you, I'll just pretend like I had a random number generator. I'm going to give half of you McClellan's Magical Marvelous Mints. Okay, so here I go. Let's discuss this. Now that you all, or no wait, half of you have a magical mint, so good for you. Because then when I give you the next test, you then know that what? You're going to do better. Okay? So just by nature of me telling you that you have something special and you're going to do better, then what's potentially going to happen?
You're going to do better.
You're going to do better. So therefore, I need to level the playing field and give everybody a mint, right? So that they all think they're going to do better. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to give you wintergreen lifesavers now to the rest of you. Okay, so here we go. Here's the discussion. Everybody got a mint. So does that mean that all of you are going to know, I leveled the playing field, all of you know that you're going to do better?
Yep. Yeah, but one is better than the others.
Oh, wait a second. How How do you know one mint's better than the other?
Because I like it more. And mine was bigger too.
Oh, you mean, well, and also they look different. One was peppermint, one was wintergreen. Okay, so how do I fix that problem? How do I make it so that you all are going to do better just because you think you're going to do better? They should all what?
Come back.
Wait, no. They should,
Get one of each.
oh, you think you all should get one of each? Okay, I don't think so. No, I'm not going to give you one of each. What else? How could I give you all a mint and half of them work and half of them don't, but you all think they're going to work? I don't tell you, but go ahead, what? Ah! They should all look the same. Okay, you didn't call it out. They should all look the same. Okay, we'll finish